Hey guys, Meteorologist Chris Tomer here on this Thursday. All right, let's jump right in. Live camera up on top of the Continental Divide in Colorado at Loveland Ski Area. Still shrouded a little bit from the last cold front that moved through. Picked up another couple of inches up there, but that's nothing compared to what's coming between Friday, Saturday, and into Sunday across a lot of the West. The big enchilada is still on the menu. All right, let me show you what the radar looks like, and here it comes. So this is the next front right here. You can see it driving out of the Pacific Northwest, and that is just going to roll like sweet music all the way down that northwest flow. So really, tomorrow, things start to get kicked off across a lot of the northern Rockies. Big snow on the way for a lot of central and northern Idaho, Montana, the Tetons, the Wasatch, and then eventually into the central and northern mountains of Colorado. There'll be a reinforcing front that will come in behind it. Actually, there may be a couple of those in the forecast. Here's the satellite. This is water vapor satellite. So whites and blues are going to be your moisture up in the mid levels of the atmosphere. And there it is. Here's your conveyor belt. And then it comes down in this northwest flow pattern, and it just points to where it's going. So all these ripples just ride that flow, and that's what we're looking at. All right, bullet points. Here's what I'm seeing. So still looking at snow bullseyes coming from Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado. Utah should be in there for sure. So I don't know why I didn't put Utah, but that should definitely be in there in the Wasatch. There's a couple of cold fronts that will contribute to this between 12.4 and 12.6 ripples of energy. And then there's another trailing one that comes in 12.7 and 12.8 with just a final small push of additional snowfall. Here are your best odds of accumulating snow. So light snow accumulation in Colorado, 12.5. The heaviest batch with the best orographics is 12.6 for a lot of the central and northern mountains of Colorado. We're not going to see a whole lot south of, there'll be some south of I-70, but the further south you go, the less and less accumulation you're going to get. That's the way these northwest flows work in Colorado. Light accumulations 12.7, the trailer on 12.8. Utah, your heaviest batch is 12.5 and 12.6. In fact, it'll probably start very late on 12.4. And it's just going to hammer the Wasatch. Light snow late 12.7 and into early 12.8. So that's the trailer. In Idaho, what a stretch. In fact, that's going to be the case for Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. 12.4, 12.5, 12.6, heavy. We're talking feet of accumulation there, and then some light additional or moderate with the trailers on the end. Okay, let's do the time height forecast. No, actually, let's do forecast radar, and then we'll jump into that. So we'll start this up. This is the forecast radar. We'll start it up at lunchtime today, Thursday, December 4th. By the time we get to lunch, we're already seeing snow development over the top of the Tetons. So it's going to start pretty early, like I said, up here in the northern Rockies. All right, let's move this ahead. Where is the... There it is. Okay, so there's the dinner hour. Here we are. This is 5 a.m. on Friday, December 5th. Snow in Colorado. Snow in the Wasatch and the High Uintas. Snow in the Tetons. That's the first wave. Right there. Second wave right up here. That'll come in behind it, bump up against the same mountain ranges. So we'll have efficient ratios with colder air. We'll have the preferred wind direction for a lot of these mountain ranges. A lot of these north to south mountain ranges. So we'll have a few things going for us. We'll have storm snow, orographic snow. So really good stuff there. All right, let's go ahead. So here's the lunch hour. Look at that reinforcing shot. Isn't that beautiful? All those, it just runs over the same ground over and over again. Okay, let's go to the dinner hour right there. Still snowing. And here we are. This is 5 a.m. on Saturday, December 6th. Still snowing in all of those big mountain ranges. There's the lunch hour, and guess what? Still snowing. And here we go, dinner hour, still snowing. By the time we get into 5 a.m. on Sunday, it's much, much lighter. Much, much lighter, with a new wave hitting the Pacific northwest right there. So our big enchilada is still on order, and it's still coming. Now we'll do a time height. This is for Loveland Ski Area. Right on the Continental Divide, Front Range High Peaks of Colorado. This is a 3-day forecast. You're looking at a slice right through all the vertical layers of the atmosphere. This is the current moment. You move in this direction into the future. And what I'm looking for is the green. We start to see the green, and it is thick. So it's just kind of light. There's your shrouding effect that we're seeing right now at Loveland, a little bit of green through the afternoon. But here comes the big plume right there. All the way. So it's like 2 full days. 2 full days, guys. So it's late 4 through 5 through 6. And look at the conveyor belt. It ramps up all the way through. So there's a big lifting wind, and that's how we're going to crank out so much snow. Let's look at the anomalies up in the middle of the atmosphere. So this is Saturday 12/6, and there it is. I mean, you can see the northwest flow bridging that gap between some higher and lower pressures, and that's just what you want. You want everything squeezed in like a sandwich, riding that flow. Okay, here we go. This is 12/10. So you'll notice some higher than normal pressures trying to build in across the west. This is really the storm track right in here, so there may still be a couple of ripples on that outer periphery. Your biggest drop in pressures are obviously over the Great Lakes in the northeast. Let's go to 12/12 on Friday. Pretty fascinating shift here in the forecast. So the higher than normal pressures are right here with your lower than normal pressures over the northeast, but also rotating into the Pacific Northwest. Now this is quite a ways out, but this is what we like to call an omega block situation. And this tends to really slow things down in the atmosphere. So you could be looking at very heavy snow up here in the Pacific Northwest, potentially some snow up here in the Northeast. Again, this is 12/12. This is out beyond the snow forecast that I'm putting together, but it's very interesting to kind of see what the pattern is going to look like. So we'll see. I mean, it almost looks like an owl, right? You've got an eye here, and then there's your nose. It's so silly. Okay, let's look at total precipitation. So this is as if everything fell as rain. 2 things I want to point out. There's your dominant northwest flow. Love it. With all these ripples riding against it, hitting these big mountain ranges and squeezing out heavy precipitation. The other thing is, I mean, just look at how much precip is indicated up here. Guys, that is almost 10 inches of liquid up there in the Pacific Northwest. I mean, if you're up on the highest cascades, you're talking feet of accumulation, like on Rainier, for example. The other thing is the break point at about 1 inch, which is the yellow. That's at least a foot of accumulation once you do that conversion over to snow. That's a ton of Idaho, Montana, Tetons, Wasatch, central and northern mountains of Colorado. Let's change the vantage point. Let's go down to the southwest and look at the same thing. 4 to 5 day total precipitation. It's all up here in Utah and also Colorado. Looking at a simple 10-to-1 snow forecast, taking that liquid and converting it 10-to-1. Deep purple is at least 6 inches. Bright pink is at least a foot. And the whites, that's at least 2 feet. And we're well over 2 feet on those highest cascades up there. It looks like at least 1 to 2 feet there through central to northern Idaho over some of the very highest peaks. Montana is at, a foot or more. The Tetons are clearly approaching that 2-foot mark. You're looking at that over the Wasatch, and in the central and northern mountains of Colorado, probably a foot or more of accumulation. So here's my official forecast. Here's how it all fits together. I haven't changed anything over the Wasatch, 14 to 25 inches. We'll zoom in. Those high-end amounts are going to be in Little and Big Cottonwood Canyons. I don't have anything for California. That southern storm track is not in the cards. We'll zoom into Colorado in a second. Haven't changed the Teton forecast. That's 2 feet. Looking at anywhere from 10 to 16 inches up here in Montana. It's going to be a great stretch for Montana. Get the powder skis out. Central to northern Idaho, 18 to 20 inches. Through Brundage all the way up to Schweitzer. And I did increase some of the numbers up here in interior BC to a foot or more. And then here you go, 1, 2, 3 feet of accumulation. Baker is a high point. Rainier would be a high point. Couple of feet on Whistler. Stevens, Crystal, Timberline, all over a foot of accumulation. And again, these are grand totals by the close of business on 12/8. Let's zoom into Colorado. So grand totals by the end of 12/8. Again, most of this is close to I-70 and north with very little south of that. The northwest flow generally doesn't reach that area. So it's all up here. It's Crested Butte North, Aspen, Buttermilk, the Highlands, Snowmass. In particular, when you have this sort of northwest flow wind coming in, that tends to nail Steamboat, Vail, Copper, Aspen, Snowmass, Loveland, A Basin, Summit County, Winter Park, Keystone, Cameron Pass. So those are all of the areas that are going to get hit hard with less snow as you go into southern Colorado. All right, zooming into the Wasatch, haven't changed a thing here since yesterday. Grand totals by the end of 12/8. 2 feet up here. I've seen higher numbers, but I'm going to go 2 feet there. In Little Cottonwood, about 20 up in Big, and then 14 to 15 as you ride your way into Park City in Deer Valley. Again, Snow Basin up the road, looking at probably 18 inches or so up there at Snow Basin, less down here at Sundance. Up in the Northeast, not a lot of snow. It's a cold pattern. Most of the accumulation is going to be lake effect off of Michigan, Erie, and Ontario. There's 1 to maybe 4 inches of storm snow for Vermont, New Hampshire, and Mount Tremblant. In fact, here are my numbers. Grand totals by the end of 12/8. 1 to 4 inches will do it for 99% of the area in the Northeast. All right, guys, we're going to end on the big Western forecast. Everything is still on track for a lot of the favorable mountain zones in the Rockies. This will be the biggest snow we've seen so far this season. I'm really liking the central to northern mountains of Colorado, the Wasatch, the Tetons, Montana, central to northern Idaho, the Pacific Northwest, interior BC. All of those areas are going to get hit pretty good with this flow pattern. Take care. Have a great day. Always appreciate you tuning in here, and I'll talk with you later.